You wake up each morning with a list. Dreams stacked like promises. Goals written in journals that gather dust. You tell yourself today is different. Today you'll focus. Today you'll build. Today you'll become. And then, 3 hours disappear into a glowing rectangle, and you can't remember where they went. You worked, didn't you? You were busy. You responded, you scrolled, you checked, you watched. But what did you build? What moved forward? What part of your vision became real? The answer sits in your throat like a stone. Nothing. And the terrifying truth is this: you're not failing because you lack talent. You're not stuck because you lack opportunity. You're drowning because you've never learned to protect the one resource that determines everything: your attention. This isn't a battle you're losing. It's a war you haven't realized you're fighting. And on the other side of this war are companies worth trillions, employing armies of psychologists and neuroscientists whose entire existence revolves around one objective: capturing your mind and never letting go. They've studied you. They've mapped your dopamine pathways. They've analyzed exactly what makes you click, scroll, watch, and come back for more. And they're winning. Right now, as you're hearing these words, part of your brain is already wondering what you're missing on your phone. That pull, that itch, that whisper telling you to check, just for a second. That's not you being weak. That's years of behavioral engineering doing exactly what it was designed to do. The average person now surrenders over 7 hours daily to screens. 7 hours. Think about what that means. 7 hours of your finite life, every single day, spent consuming other people's content, other people's ideas, other people's carefully curated highlight reels. 7 hours that could have built expertise, forged relationships, created value, transformed your body, expanded your mind. 7 hours that evaporated into nothing but temporary entertainment and the vague sense that you're somehow falling behind while everyone else races ahead. But here's what nobody tells you about those 7 hours. The real cost isn't the time spent distracted. It's what happens to your brain while you're distracted. It's the neural pathways you're carving. It's the patterns you're reinforcing. It's the person you're becoming with every scroll, every click, every moment you choose escape over engagement. Every time you feel resistance and reach for your phone, you're teaching your nervous system that discomfort is intolerable. Every time work gets difficult and you switch to something easier, you're programming yourself to associate challenge with avoidance. Every time you sit with another human being and glance at your screen, you're training your brain that presence is optional, that connection can be interrupted, that the digital always outweighs the real. You think these moments don't matter? They're small. Everyone does it. It's normal. But normal is the most dangerous word in any language. Normal means accepting what is as what must be. Normal means looking at collective failure and calling it success. Normal means watching your potential drain away one notification at a time and calling it modern life. Let me show you what these small moments compound into. When you're working on something important and you get interrupted, it takes an average of 23 minutes to return to the same level of focus you had before the interruption. 23 minutes. Not the time you spent checking your phone. The time your brain needs to rebuild the mental context it lost. Now consider this: research shows knowledge workers interrupt themselves or get interrupted approximately every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, your brain abandons what it's doing, processes something new, and attempts to return. Except it never fully returns. Because before it rebuilds focus, you're interrupted again. And again. And again. This creates what psychologists call attention residue. Fragments of your consciousness stuck on previous tasks, never fully present for current tasks, accumulating throughout the day like mental debris. You finish your workday exhausted, feeling like you accomplished nothing. And you're right. You didn't accomplish nothing because you didn't work. You accomplished nothing because you never fully worked. You were never completely present for anything you did. Your attention scattered across dozens of fragments, none receiving your full capacity, all leaving residue that contaminated everything else. This is why talented people produce mediocre work. This is why smart people feel stupid. This is why capable people never build anything meaningful. Not because they lack ability, but because they've fractured their ability across so many directions that nothing gets their full power. But let's go deeper. Let's talk about what you're really losing. Take those 7 hours of daily screen time. Multiply by 365 days. That's 2,555 hours per year. Now multiply by 5 years. 12,775 hours. Do you know what 12,000 hours represents? Expert-level mastery in virtually any skill. According to research on skill acquisition, it takes approximately 2,000 to 3,000 hours of deliberate practice to reach expert level in most domains. Your social media habit isn't just wasting time. It's stealing the exact amount of time you need to become extraordinary at something. Anything. The scrolling isn't harmless. It's not just relaxation. It's not just staying connected. It's the murder of your potential, happening in real time, and you're the one holding the knife. Let's make this concrete with numbers that will haunt you. Redirect just 2 hours daily from distraction to skill development. Learn to code. Learn to design. Learn to write. Learn to sell. Learn to edit video. Learn to understand data. Within 6 months, your skill reaches a level where you can do freelance work. You make an extra $500 monthly. Not life-changing yet, but it's starting. But skills compound. By year 2, you're making $2,000 per month. By year 3, $4,000. By year 5, you've either built a successful freelance business generating $10,000 monthly, or you've leveraged your skills into a dramatically better job with significantly higher income. Over 5 years, the difference between spending 2 hours daily on social media versus spending 2 hours daily building skills could easily be $200,000 in additional income. And that's conservative. That's assuming slow growth. That's assuming you don't accelerate. That's assuming you don't stack skills that multiply each other's value. But this isn't about money. Money is just the measurable metric. The real difference is identity. The person who spent 12,000 hours developing skills lives in a different reality than the person who spent 12,000 hours consuming content. Different capabilities. Different confidence. Different opportunities. Different trajectory. Different life. One person built something real, something lasting, something that compounds. The other person experienced temporary entertainment that left nothing behind except the vague feeling of time wasted and potential unrealized. Here's what makes this truly insidious. You're not just losing time to distractions. You're fragmenting your identity. Every piece of content you consume triggers a different aspirational self. You watch fitness videos and feel like someone who should work out. You watch entrepreneur content and feel like someone who should start a business. You see travel photos and feel like someone who should be exploring. You read about minimalism and feel like someone who should own less. Each trigger creates a different version of who you think you should be. And because you're consuming constantly, you're constantly shifting between competing identities, never committing fully to any single path. This creates decision paralysis. 10 different visions of your future self competing for resources. You can't commit to any single vision because you're emotionally invested in all of them. So you dabble. You start things and quit. You spread your energy across too many directions and make real progress in none. It creates comparison cascade. Each aspirational identity comes with its own set of people to compare yourself to. Fitness influencers who make you feel out of shape. Entrepreneurs who make you feel unambitious. Travelers who make you feel boring. You're running multiple comparison games simultaneously, all of which make you feel inadequate, none of which motivate you to actually build anything. And it creates identity confusion. When you're constantly consuming other people's ideas about who you should be, you lose touch with who you actually want to be. Your goals become reflections of what you've consumed rather than expressions of what you genuinely value. You're chasing other people's definitions of success, other people's metrics, other people's dreams. You're living a copy of someone else's life instead of authoring your own. The solution isn't consuming content about fewer identities. It's choosing one coherent identity and building it consistently over time. It's saying no to interesting possibilities so you can say yes completely to important priorities. It's developing the focus and discipline to become one thing deeply rather than many things superficially. But you can't choose one identity until you see clearly how your attention is actually being spent. Not how you think it's spent. Not how you hope it's spent. How it's actually spent. This requires brutal honesty, and most people can't handle brutal honesty because brutal honesty reveals uncomfortable truths about how they're actually living. Here's what you do. Install time tracking software on every device you use. Not tomorrow. Today. Right now, after you finish listening to this. Apps that track exactly how much time you spend on every website, every application, every activity. Don't rely on built-in screen time features that you can dismiss with a tap. Get serious tracking software that forces you to confront reality. Track everything for 7 days without trying to change your behavior. This is crucial. Don't modify your habits because you're being tracked. Don't try to look better than you are. Let the software capture your actual behavior, not your ideal behavior. At the end of 7 days, sit down and review the data. Look at total hours spent on each activity. Look at patterns of when you're most distracted. Look at what triggers your distraction episodes. Look at how much time you spend on activities that align with your goals versus activities that don't. This is where it gets uncomfortable. The numbers don't lie. You can tell yourself you only spend a little time on social media, but the tracker shows 3 hours daily. You can tell yourself you're pretty focused, but the tracker shows you checking your phone every 8 minutes. You can tell yourself you're working hard, but the tracker shows most of your work time spent on email, meetings, and busy work rather than deep focused creation. Most people quit the audit at this point. They don't like what they see. They make excuses. They justify their behavior. They promise to do better without actually changing anything. They delete the tracking app because seeing the truth is too painful. Don't be most people. Sit with the discomfort. Look at the numbers. Accept that this is your current reality. And then use that reality as fuel for massive change. Calculate the opportunity cost. Take your total weekly distraction hours and multiply by 52. That's your annual distraction time. Multiply by 5. That's your 5-year distraction time. Now ask yourself with complete honesty, what could I have built with that many hours? What skills could I have developed? What projects could I have completed? What person could I have become? This exercise is designed to create massive pain. Because pain is the only thing that creates change. If you're comfortable with how you're spending your time, you won't change how you're spending your time. You need to feel the crushing weight of wasted potential before you'll be motivated to reclaim that potential. Now that you've seen the truth, now that you understand what's actually happening, we need to categorize your distractions and decide what happens to each one. Not all distractions are equal. Some are massively destructive. Others are mildly problematic. Some can be managed. Others need complete elimination. Category 1: Complete elimination. These are distractions that provide zero value and massive cost. Social media platforms designed to capture and hold attention indefinitely. Endless scrolling through feeds. Watching stories. Reading comments. Getting into arguments with strangers. None of this serves you. None of this builds anything. None of this makes you better. It all needs to go. But complete elimination means actually eliminating. Not trying to use it less. Not setting time limits. Not checking once daily. Eliminating. Delete the apps. Block the websites. Make it actually impossible to access these platforms without significant deliberate effort. Most people resist complete elimination because they're afraid of missing out. They won't know what's happening. They'll lose touch with people. They'll be out of the loop. These fears are irrational. You won't miss anything important. Real news reaches you through multiple channels. Real friends contact you directly. Real opportunities don't come through social media feeds. You're not missing out by eliminating these distractions. You're opting into actually living your life instead of watching other people pretend to live theirs. Category 2, strict limitation. These are activities with some legitimate value but easy to overuse. Email. Messaging apps. News websites. YouTube. Podcasts. These tools can help you communicate, learn, stay informed. But they can also become massive time sinks if not properly controlled. Strict limitation means setting clear rules and using technology to enforce those rules. Check email twice daily at specific times. Disable all email notifications. Use messaging apps only during designated communication windows. Silence them otherwise. Allow yourself 1 hour of educational YouTube daily. Block the site outside that window. Listen to podcasts during commutes or workouts, not during deep work time. The key is making rules strict enough that they actually constrain behavior and using technology to enforce them so you can't cheat easily. Category 3, replacement. These are distractions you use to fill specific needs. Boredom. Stress relief. Procrastination. The solution isn't just removing them. It's replacing them with better alternatives that serve the same need without the same cost. Bored? Instead of scrolling, read. Instead of watching videos, go for a walk. Instead of consuming content, create something. Stressed? Instead of numbing with entertainment, process your stress through exercise, journaling, meditation. Instead of escaping your feelings, experience them and move through them. Procrastinating? Instead of avoiding difficult work with easy distractions, do a smaller version of the difficult work. Replace hard tasks with easier versions of hard tasks, not with entertainment. The goal is interrupting the automatic pattern of need equals distraction and replacing it with need equals productive alternative. You cannot rely on willpower alone to overcome distractions. Willpower is a limited resource that depletes throughout the day. If you're counting on willpower to resist distractions, you will fail when you're tired, stressed, depleted. Smart people don't rely on willpower. They design their environment to make distractions difficult and focus easy. Start with your physical environment. Remove all distraction devices from your workspace. Your phone should not be in the same room when you're doing deep work. Your smartwatch should be in a drawer. Your tablet should be elsewhere. If you need your phone for emergencies, put it in a different room and check it during scheduled breaks. Set up your workspace to support focus. 1 monitor, not 2. Essential tools only, not every possible tool. Clean desk, not cluttered desk. Comfortable chair. Good lighting. Temperature control. Everything in your physical environment should support sustained attention, not fragmented. Your digital environment requires even more aggressive design. Use website blockers that make it actually impossible to access distraction sites during work hours. Not blockers you can disable with a click. Blockers that require complex passwords, waiting periods, or that delete your browsing history. Blockers with real friction. Uninstall every app that doesn't directly serve your goals. Be ruthless. If you haven't used an app in 2 weeks, delete it. You can always reinstall if you actually need it, but chances are you won't. Use separate devices for separate purposes if possible. Work computer for work only, no personal browsing. Personal computer for personal activities, no work tasks. Phone for communication only, no social media, games, or entertainment. This separation creates psychological boundaries that make focus easier. Your notification environment needs complete reconstruction. Turn off all notifications except critical ones. And by critical, I mean things requiring immediate attention. Phone calls from specific people. Urgent messages from work. Everything else can wait until you check during designated times. Most notifications aren't notifying you of anything important. They're reminding you that you could be distracted right now. They're interrupting your flow for things with zero urgency. They're training your brain to context switch constantly. Disable email notifications. Disable messaging app notifications. Disable social media notifications if you haven't deleted these apps entirely. Disable news notifications. Disable shopping app notifications. Disable everything. If something is actually urgent, people will call you. If something is actually important, it will still be there when you check during designated times. And then there's your social environment. This is the hardest because it involves other people. But your social environment is either supporting your focus or destroying it. If you're surrounded by people who are constantly distracted, who value entertainment over achievement, who see ambition as weird and focus as antisocial, you will struggle to maintain focus regardless of how well you've designed your physical and digital environments. You need to either upgrade your social environment or protect yourself from your current one. Upgrading means finding people who value focus, who respect boundaries, who support your goals, who won't pressure you to engage in distractions, who model the behavior you're trying to develop. Protecting means setting clear boundaries with your current social circle. Explaining that you're not available for constant messages. Making it clear that you won't be responding immediately. Being willing to disappoint people who expect constant accessibility. This creates social friction. Some people will be supportive. Others will be offended. Some will understand. Others will pressure you to stay accessible. Some will respect your boundaries. Others will push back. You have to decide what's more important. Their comfort with your availability or your ability to build the life you want. Most people choose comfort. They don't want to disappoint anyone. They don't want to seem unavailable. They don't want to create awkwardness. So they stay accessible to everyone, which means they're never fully present for anything. They sacrifice their potential on the altar of not making anyone uncomfortable. Don't make that choice. With distractions eliminated and your environment designed for focus, you now need structure. Freedom without structure is chaos. If you eliminate distractions but don't fill that time with purposeful activity, you'll either find new distractions or spiral into anxiety about all the time you now have to fill. You need a schedule that architects your day around deep work, purposeful rest, and strategic flexibility. Start with a morning ritual. 60 to 90 minutes. This is your daily reset. It happens before you check any messages, before you consume any content, before you interact with anyone else's agenda. This time is sacred and non-negotiable. Components include physical activation, exercise, stretching, cold exposure, mental preparation, meditation, journaling, visualization, skill development, reading, learning, practicing, day planning, reviewing goals, setting priorities, scheduling tasks. The specific activities matter less than the principles. You're preparing your body for performance. You're clearing your mind for focus. You're developing skills that compound over time. You're being intentional about how you'll spend the day. Then come deep work blocks. 2 to 4 hours, twice daily. These are your highest value activities. The work that actually moves your goals forward. The projects that will compound over time. The tasks that require your full cognitive capacity and sustained focus. During deep work blocks, no phone, no email, no messages, no meetings, no interruptions. Just you and the work that matters. You're going deep on one thing. giving it complete attention, making real progress. Most people never experience deep work because they never protect time for deep work. They're always accessible, always interruptible, always pulled in multiple directions. They spend days responding to other people's priorities instead of advancing their own. Deep work blocks are where transformation happens. This is where you develop skills, create value, build projects, make progress. Everything else is maintenance or distraction. You also need administrative blocks. 60 minutes, once or twice daily. This is when you handle all the maintenance tasks that need to happen but don't require deep focus. Email, messages, scheduling, planning, organizing, responding to requests, handling logistics. By batching all administrative work into specific blocks, you prevent it from fragmenting your entire day. Instead of checking email constantly, you check it once or twice. Instead of responding to messages as they arrive, you respond during designated times. Instead of handling small tasks immediately, you queue them and process in batch. This feels uncomfortable at first because you're used to being constantly responsive. But responsiveness is not productivity. Being available to everyone else prevents you from being present for your own priorities. You also need strategic rest at various times throughout the day. Rest is not the same as distraction. Rest restores your energy and focus. Distraction depletes both. Real rest includes walking without your phone, napping without setting an alarm, eating without screens, exercising without tracking, sitting in silence without entertainment, spending time in nature without documentation, having conversations without checking messages. Notice what all real rest has in common. Presence. You're actually present for the rest experience instead of using rest time to consume more content. Most people never actually rest because they're always partially engaged with devices. They're watching television while scrolling. They're eating while watching. They're walking while listening to podcasts. They're never fully present for rest, so rest never fully restores them. End your day with an evening wind down. 60 minutes. This is your transition from productivity to recovery. It prepares you for quality sleep, which prepares you for tomorrow's deep work. Components include digital sunset. All screens off 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Reflection. Reviewing the day, noting wins and lessons. Preparation. Setting out tomorrow's clothes, preparing tomorrow's workspace. Relaxation. Reading, stretching, meditation, whatever helps you settle. The key is that this time is completely disconnected from digital stimulation. You're allowing your nervous system to downregulate. You're allowing your mind to process the day. You're allowing your body to prepare for sleep. Here's something most people get wrong about eliminating distractions. They try to remove distractions without replacing them with better alternatives. This creates a void, and voids get filled with something, usually more distractions or anxiety about the void. You need to proactively replace bad habits with good habits. Not just remove, but replace. If you typically scroll social media for 30 minutes after waking, replace it with 30 minutes of reading. Have the book ready. Have the space prepared. Make the replacement behavior easier than the distraction behavior. If you typically watch streaming content for 2 hours every evening, replace it with a creative hobby, skill development practice, or fitness routine. Have the materials ready. Have the plan made. Make the replacement behavior attractive and accessible. If you typically check your phone every time you feel bored, replace it with a micro task that serves your goals. Have a list of 5-minute tasks ready. Review your goals. Do a quick workout. Send a message to someone you care about. Read a few pages. Tidy your space. The replacement strategy works because it satisfies the same urge that triggered the distraction, but channels that urge toward productive action instead of consumptive passivity. You're not fighting the urge. You're redirecting it. Now you have something most people never experience. Actual time and attention to build something meaningful. But having time isn't enough. Having attention isn't enough. You need to architect your focus so that your time and attention compound into real capability and real results. Focus is a skill that needs to be developed gradually, like a muscle that needs to be strengthened progressively. You can't go from scattered attention to sustained focus overnight. Week 1. Start with 25-minute focus sessions with 5-minute breaks. One thing. Full attention. No distractions. When the urge to switch tasks arises, note it and return to your task. When thoughts wander, notice and redirect. This is training attention control. Week 2. Move to 40-minute focus sessions with 10-minute breaks. Same principle, longer duration. You're building endurance for sustained attention. Week 3. Extend to 60-minute focus sessions with 15-minute breaks. You're now approaching what researchers call deep work capacity. The ability to sustain focus on cognitively demanding tasks for extended periods. Week 4 and beyond, aim for 90 to 120-minute focus sessions with 20-minute breaks. This is professional level focus. This is where real mastery develops. This is where complex projects get completed and difficult skills get acquired. Most people never develop this level of focus capacity because they never train it systematically. They try to focus for long periods without building up to it, get frustrated when they can't sustain attention, and conclude they're just not focused people. But focus isn't a personality trait. It's a trained skill. And like any skill, it develops through progressive practice. Master single tasking. Multitasking is a myth. What people call multitasking is actually rapid task switching, which destroys productivity and depletes cognitive resources. The alternative is single tasking. Doing one thing completely before moving to the next thing. Finishing one task before starting another. Giving one project your full attention until it's complete or until you've reached a natural stopping point. This feels inefficient at first because you're used to juggling multiple things simultaneously. But single tasking is actually far more efficient because it eliminates switching costs, reduces errors, improves quality, and allows you to enter flow states where productivity multiplies. Practice single tasking in small ways first. Have one conversation without looking at your phone. Read one chapter without checking messages. Write one email completely before starting the next. Complete one task fully before jumping to another. As you build single tasking capacity, extend it to larger contexts. Complete one project before starting the next. Master one skill before adding another. Focus on one goal at a time instead of pursuing multiple goals simultaneously. You also need to manage attention residue. Remember, part of your focus remains stuck on previous tasks when you switch to new tasks. You need strategies to clear this residue so you can give full attention to whatever you're doing now. Create transition rituals between tasks. Stand up, walk around, stretch. Go outside for 2 minutes. Do 10 push-ups. Something that signals to your brain that the previous task is complete and a new task is beginning. Capture incomplete tasks. If you switch tasks before completing something, write down exactly where you stopped and what you need to do next. This gives your brain permission to stop thinking about the incomplete task because you've captured it externally. Whenever possible, finish tasks completely before switching. Your brain gets a satisfaction response from completion that clears attention residue more effectively than any other method. Use context separation. Do different types of work in different locations. Creative work in one space, administrative work in another, communication in a third. Physical context changes help clear mental context. As you develop focus capacity, you'll experience different levels of depth. Level 1 is concentrated attention. You're focused on your task, but you're still aware of your surroundings, still somewhat tempted by distractions, still effortful in maintaining focus. This is beginner-level focus. Level 2 is engaged focus. You're absorbed in your task, less aware of surroundings, less tempted by distractions, less effortful in maintaining attention. This is intermediate level focus. Level 3 is flow state. You lose awareness of time. Your ego dissolves into the task. Ideas come effortlessly. Your performance is dramatically elevated. This is expert level focus. Most people never experience flow because they never develop the prerequisite skills. The ability to focus without distractions. The ability to sustain attention for extended periods. The ability to engage fully with challenging tasks. But as you eliminate distractions and build focus capacity, flow becomes accessible. And flow is where everything changes. This is where you produce your best work, make your fastest progress, experience your deepest satisfaction. With distractions eliminated and focus developed, you now have the foundational capacity to build skills that compound over time and create exponential returns. But most people approach skill development wrong. They learn too many things simultaneously. They switch between skills before achieving competence. They consume information about skills instead of practicing skills. Here's a better system. Choose skills based on 3 factors. Personal interest. You need genuine curiosity or enjoyment for the skill domain. Not because you should enjoy everything, but because skills take time to develop and you won't sustain effort for things you find completely boring. Economic leverage. The skill should have potential to create income, open opportunities, or provide value to others. You want skills that compound into career growth, business opportunities, or consulting income. Skill stacking potential. The skill should combine well with skills you already have or skills you plan to develop. The combination of skills creates unique value that individual skills don't provide. If you can write well, learn marketing. If you understand marketing, learn sales. If you know sales, learn psychology. Each skill amplifies the others, creating a compounding effect where 1 + 1 + 1 = 10, not 3. Focus on one primary skill at a time until you reach what I call professional competence. The level where you can create value for others or earn income from the skill. This typically takes 3 to 6 months of daily deliberate practice depending on the skill's complexity and your existing knowledge. During this period, this skill gets your best attention during your deepest work blocks. Once you reach professional competence, move this skill to maintenance mode, practicing occasionally to retain ability, and begin intensive development of the next skill in your stack. This sequential approach feels slower than trying to learn multiple skills simultaneously, but it's actually much faster because you're making real progress in one skill instead of making minimal progress in several skills. Not all practice is created equal. Mindlessly repeating activities you can already do doesn't improve performance. Deliberate practice is different. It's focused on specific weaknesses. It pushes you slightly beyond your current ability. It involves immediate feedback. It requires full concentration. It's uncomfortable and effortful. This is how expertise develops. Not through casual practice, but through systematic challenge at the edge of your ability. Identify the specific sub-skill you're weakest at. Design practice specifically targeting that weakness. Practice with full focus for focus sessions. Get feedback on your performance. Adjust based on feedback. Repeat. This cycle, repeated consistently over months, transforms mediocrity into mastery. Everything you've learned here means nothing if you don't implement it. Understanding doesn't create change. Action creates change. And not action tomorrow. Not action when you feel ready. Action right now, today, in the next hour. Here's your immediate action plan. First, install time tracking software on all devices within the next 60 minutes. Don't wait. Don't tell yourself you'll do it later. Do it now. Track for 7 full days without trying to change behavior. Second, identify your 3 biggest distractions based on the tracking data. Be honest about what's actually consuming your time, not what you wish was consuming your time. Third, eliminate or strictly limit those 3 distractions using the strategies outlined. Delete apps. Block websites. Create rules. Use technology to enforce the rules. Fourth, design your environment for focus. Remove phones from workspace. Turn off all non-critical notifications. Set up physical workspace to support sustained attention. Fifth, implement the daily schedule framework. Morning ritual before checking anything digital. 2 deep work blocks daily. Administrative blocks for maintenance tasks. Evening wind down disconnected from screens. Sixth, choose one skill to develop to professional competence. 1 skill. Not 3. Not 5. 1. Apply deliberate practice daily during your deepest work blocks. Track progress weekly. Adjust approach based on results. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more inspiration. You don't need more information. You need to stop letting distractions murder your potential and start building the life you claim you want. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. Every hour you surrender to distraction is an hour that could have built something lasting. Every moment you spend consuming is a moment you're not creating. The choice is yours, but understand what you're actually choosing. You're not choosing between distraction and focus. You're choosing between 2 completely different lives. One life is easy and comfortable and leads nowhere. The other life is challenging and uncomfortable and leads everywhere. One life requires nothing and builds nothing. The other life demands everything and creates everything. You already know which life you want. You've always known. The question is whether you're finally ready to do what that life requires. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when you feel motivated. Now. Today. This moment. Kill the distractions. Build the focus. Develop the skills. Become the person you've been avoiding becoming, because becoming that person requires you to stop being the person you currently are. And that's terrifying. But staying who you are is more terrifying. Because staying who you are means watching years pass, watching dreams fade, watching potential evaporate, and knowing you had every opportunity to change but chose comfort over courage. Don't make that choice. Make the other choice. The hard choice. The choice that terrifies you because it demands you become someone you've never been. That's the only choice worth making. Now go make it.